Good Tuesday morning, guys. It is the 20th day of February as I am recording this video. It's been a while since I made one. I've kind of let life get a hold of me again. I gotta, I gotta find a way to get in a better rhythm. Lord willing, I'll get there. Y'all just pray for me that I will get there. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Um, I've had a particular story on my mind a lot lately. Um, and I don't know exactly why, but that's what we're going to talk about today. It's found in 1 Samuel chapter 17, and it's a story that's familiar to all of us. It's the story of David and Goliath, and it's sort of what puts David on the map where Israel's concerned. Now, he's already been chosen by God to be the king that's going to succeed Saul, but that has not taken place yet. So this sort of puts him on the map, and there's good reason for that. When we meet David in this story, he is basically an errand boy. And that's one of those jobs we look at, it's like, errand boy, no big deal. But you know what? Every job is important, and when God's in whatever it is we're doing, it certainly is important. God's going to take a simple task that David is called upon by his dad to do, and he is going to use David to do an extraordinary thing. And God has a habit of doing that, taking what's common, making it uncommon, taking what's ordinary, making it extraordinary. We talked about that in our sermon on this past Sunday at Lynette when we were talking about what the Holy Spirit enables us to do as Christians when we allow Him to work in our lives. He can help us as ordinary people do extraordinary things, and God certainly does that with David here. Now, when we meet David, here's how we meet him. It's down in verse 17 of chapter 17, 1 Samuel. And Jesse said unto David his son, Take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn, and 10 loaves, and run to the camp of thy brethren, and carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of the thousands, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. So Jesse comes to David and says, I want you to deliver this bread, this cheese, this parched corn. I want you to deliver it to your brothers and to the commanders of Saul's army. Because he goes on in verse 19 to tell him, Now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. And David rose early in the morning, left the sheep with the keeper, and took and went as Jesse has commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to fight, and shouted for the battle. So David got up early, did what his father called upon him to do. He could have had a bad attitude about it, but he didn't. He rose early, he got at it. Dad wants me to do this, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a good little delivery boy, and I'm going to go check on my brothers. I'm going to go check on the army of Israel, see how things are going. And as he approaches, the sound of battle comes up, right? Noise, and he thinks there's a fight ensuing, although he's going to get there and find out that's not the case. Verse 21-22 says, For Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army, and David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage and ran into the army and came and saluted his brethren. So he just rushed in. He wanted to see what was going on, and he is going to see what is going on, because before we're told about what David's going to do here, we're introduced to Goliath of Gath, this mammoth of a man that is part of the army of the Philistines that comes out every day and taunts the army of Israel, the army of the living God, taunts them. Send out your champion. I'm our champion, and we'll fight. And if you win, then we'll serve you. And if I win, then you will serve us. And this happens day after day after day after day after day. And Saul and no one in his army answers the challenge. I mean, this man is 9.5 feet tall, 10 feet tall. He's a mammoth of a man. He's huge. His armament is huge. I mean, he would have been just a fearsome sight to see. So I can understand why the armies of Israel and the warriors in Israel would have been reluctant to take him on. But David remembers something that they don't. And there's a reason why God has said that Saul is no longer going to be king and he has chosen David to replace him, because Saul rather, has not been a king that has been obedient to God. He has not been a king that has sought God and has followed God. He has been a king that's sort of done his own thing, and he's let the fame of being king go to his head, and he has fallen out of favor with God. And that's why David has been chosen by God to replace him when the time comes. But here you have this mammoth of a man. In the first part, leading up to what we have already read, just explains what happened. So I've just sort of recapped that. So David wanders in, and we pick back up in verse 23 to see how David reacts. And David's going to say several things down through here that we're going to look at just quickly. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and he spake according to the same words, and David heard them. So he's repeating the same taunt that he's been repeating day after day after day. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, have you seen this man that has come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king, will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, so here they are, they're scared to death. They're telling David, have you seen this mammoth of a man? They're afraid of him. But you know what? Anybody that can go out and defeat him, Saul said, there's going to be great rewards. There's going to be riches. There's going to be power. There's going to be a marriage to one of his daughters. His family's going to be free in Israel, meaning, they don't have to pay taxes to help support the king. And David sees this, and here's what he says. What should be done to the man that killeth this Philistine and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? He said, what's going to happen when a person goes out and do this? And why isn't somebody going out and doing this? Because this uncircumcised Philistine is defying the armies of the living God. Now that's the key, and David's going to repeat that. And that's going to be consistent in what David says as he goes down through here. For him, it's all about the living God. For him, it's all about the fact that these are the armies of the living God. It's all about the fact that he's the servant of the living God. Everything that David says here centers on the fact of his faith, his belief, his trust in the living God. Well, his brother, Eliab, here's what he says, and Eliab chastises him. Who do you think you are, little boy? You need to just hush your mouth and remember your place, basically. Just paraphrasing what he says. Well, here's how David responds to his brother. This is down in verse 29. It says, what have I now done? What have I done, big brother? What have I done? It's a rhetorical question. He hadn't done anything. He hadn't done anything. And he knew he hadn't done anything, but said the right thing. And then he says this, is there not a cause? Another rhetorical question. Obviously, there's a cause. The cause is for somebody to go down there and defeat that uncircumcised Philistine that is taunting the living God, because he's taunting the army of the living God. Well, so his brother protested what he was doing, and he answered his brother. Well, time progresses. They take him before King Saul. And here's what he tells King Saul down in verse 32. He said, let no man's heart fall because of him, thy servant, me. I will go up and fight this Philistine. David, this little shepherd boy, we don't know exactly how old he is. I figure he's a teenager, right? Here he is. I tell you, men, not to worry about it. I got this. I got this. I know I'm just a lowly delivery boy. I know I'm just a lowly shepherd boy. But remember, he knows something or remembers something that the others don't. The living God. It's all about the living God. He has faith and trust in the living God. Well, Saul says, boy, you're out of your mind. And again, I'm paraphrasing what Saul says here. Boy, you're out of your mind. You have never been tested in battle. And look at this guy. Not only is he a mammoth of a man, but he has been more than tested in battle. He knows what he's doing, and you don't have a clue. What are you thinking? Well, David responds to him. Down in verse 34. Thy servant kept his father's sheep. He's talking about himself. And there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after, and I smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living God. There it is again. See, he remembers something. It's about the living God. David said, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear. Who delivered David? Did David deliver David? No. He says, the Lord delivered me on those occasions. And just like the Lord delivered me on those occasions, he said, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with you. Go, and the Lord be with you. See, he's remembered something. He tells the whole army, what's wrong with you guys? Let's go down and silence this uncircumcised Philistine who's taunting the armies of the living God. His brother says, you need to hush. He says, what have I done? There's a cause here, bro. They tell him the king. He tells the king, don't worry about it. I'll go fight him. King says, you can't. You're going to lose. He says, God delivered me from the barren lion. God's going to deliver me from him. Saul says, okay. So here it is. He's going out. He's going out. And he goes down to the brook. And you know the little song we sing with kids, Only Little Boy David. Down by the Babylon brook, only little boy David. 5 little stones he took. We don't know why he took 5. Some have speculated it's because Goliath had 4 brothers. Could be. Don't know. Doesn't matter. He only needed 1. He only needed 1. Now as he approaches Goliath with nothing but what a shepherd boy would carry, no sword, no shield, no spear, none of that. He doesn't have any of that. He's this little shepherd boy standing in front of this mighty man of war. And this mighty man of war taunts him. What am I, a dog, that they send out somebody with sticks and stones at me? Who is this? This is a joke, right? This is a joke. He's making fun of David, taunting David, and David speaks up. This is the 5th quote from David as we go through this chapter. Then said David to the Philistine, down in verse 45, Thou comest at me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come at thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. He didn't say I come at you with a sling and stones. He didn't say I come at you with a staff and a rod. He didn't say I come at you with any of those things. He said I come at you with God, O mighty man of war, with your sword and your shield and your spear and all your armament. I come at you with God. He goes on to say, This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee and take thy head from thee. Gonna take his head with what? Slings and stones and staffs and rods? No. He's gonna take his head with his own sword when the time comes. He said, I will give the carcasses of the hosts of the Philistines this day into the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, and all the earth will know that there is a God in Israel. He said, God's going to whoop you. God's going to whoop your army. And he's just going to use little old me, a delivery boy and a shepherd boy, to do it. And all the assembly, everybody that's here, your army, my army, all the assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. See, he remembers something. It's all about God. And I don't know why this passage of scripture has been on my mind. Maybe it's because there's been so much going on in my life, probably like your life. And, there are times you're just like, whew, I need to take a deep breath. There's been so much going on. Well, we need to remember something. Whatever it is we're called upon to face, in our lives, whether it be our work life, our home life, our church life, whatever part of our life we're talking about, whatever we're called upon to face, God will provide a way through it. God will provide a way for us to be victorious in it, whatever it is. And we just need to remember that. And we just need to have faith in that. We don't need to look at that giant, whatever it is that you're facing down, whatever it is that I'm facing down. We don't need to look at that giant and shake and shiver. We need to look at that giant and say, I see how big you are, but have you seen how big my God is? Because he's got this. And I do believe that if we truly believe that, there's a peace that comes with that. There's a calm that comes with that. There is an ability to have the patience and the perseverance that the Bible tells us to have when we're facing down those things. But we got to remember that. Saul and his army didn't remember that. But David did. And he taught them a lesson that day. And he's been teaching people that lesson down through the ages, because God saw fit to tell us his story. So just remember that story. And just remember, even though you may be a little errand boy, even though you may be a little shepherd boy, even though you may be a little whatever, God takes common things and does uncommon things with them. God takes ordinary things and does extraordinary things with them, if we let it. Guys, I hope you're having a great day to the glory of God. I love you, and I'll see you again soon.